Welcome back. So today we are going to tackle one of those ideas that is so fundamental to how the internet stays organized, yet it's surprisingly simple. We're talking about DNS zones. It's really the secret sauce for taming total digital chaos. Okay, let's just dive right in.
Welcome to Super Courseva. Unlock the secrets of the internet and master computer networking. Let's dive in.
So let's start off with a little puzzle. Just imagine for a second, you are the head of IT for a huge global company. You've got 600 computers, not in one building, but spread out all over the world, from LA to Shanghai. Seriously, how do you even begin to keep track of all of them? And, more importantly, how do you do it without creating an absolute administrative nightmare? A situation where just one tiny mistake, a single typo, could knock an entire office offline. That's the real problem we're going to solve today. To make this feel a little more real, let's invent a company. We'll call it largecompany.com. And they've got 3 big offices, right? Los Angeles, Paris, and Shanghai. Each one has 200 computers. And at this moment, it's all being managed by one single person at headquarters. This slide just lays it out so perfectly. It's like 2 different universes. On the left, you've got the nightmare scenario. One poor, overwhelmed admin is juggling a single fragile list with all 600 records. What happens if they go on vacation? Or worse, what if their server crashes? The entire company is in deep trouble. But then, you look at the solution on the right. It's all about one word: delegation. And that beautifully elegant solution is what we call DNS zones. It's a strategy of delegate and conquer. Instead of one person trying to do everything, you hand over control to the local teams, the people who actually know their own networks inside and out. So what actually is a DNS zone? Well, officially, it's an administrative portion of the DNS namespace. You can think of that namespace as the internet's gigantic hierarchical address book. By creating a zone, you're essentially just taking your massive domain like largecompany.com and carving it up into smaller, much more manageable pieces, like say para.largecompany.com, just for the Paris office. Honestly, here's the absolute best way to picture this. A DNS zone is like its own separate filing cabinet. The LA office gets a cabinet, Paris gets their own, and Shanghai gets one too. Each one is totally self-contained. A mess in one cabinet doesn't affect the others at all. Okay, so if each zone is a filing cabinet, what's actually inside of it? Well, all the critical paperwork that makes that part of the network run is stored in a simple little text document, and that's called a zone file. Now, every single zone file has to begin with something called an SOA, or Start of Authority Record. Just think of it like the big, bold label slapped on the front of the filing cabinet. It clearly states, hey, I'm the boss of this specific zone, and it lays out the basic ground rules for how it all works. This establishes a really clear chain of command, which is super important for preventing things like unauthorized changes to your records. Right after that, you've got the NS, or name server record. So if the SOA record is the boss, the NS records are basically a list of everyone who holds a key to that filing cabinet. These are the servers that hold the official, authoritative copies of all the zone's information. Which, leads to a pretty logical question, right? If you've got one main server that's in charge, why would you bother listing more than one in your NS records? Why create all that extra work? And the answer is as simple as it is critical. Because servers fail. It happens. Computers crash, networks go down, things break. Having multiple name servers listed gives you redundancy. If that primary server in Paris literally catches on fire, a secondary one, maybe in a totally different building, can just take over instantly, no problem. It is the absolute key to being resilient. Okay, so we've pretty much mastered looking up an IP address from a name. But what if you need to go backwards? Let's say you're a security admin and you see some suspicious IP address popping up in your server logs. You need to know which computer that IP belongs to. For that, we need a different kind of tool, something like a reverse phonebook. And this slide right here shows the difference perfectly. A normal forward lookup, that's when you go from a name to an IP address, uses something called an A record. But a reverse lookup does the exact opposite, and for that, it needs a special kind of record. And that special tool is called the PTR, or pointer record. It's designed for one very specific job, that reverse lookup task. It simply points an IP address back to its full official domain name. That's it. All right, we have covered a lot of ground pretty quickly here. So let's just take a breath and recap the most important concepts with a simple checklist, just to make sure everything is locked in and crystal clear. So here are the essentials. You've got the zone. That's your administrative boundary, your filing cabinet. The zone file is the paperwork inside it. The SOA record is the boss declaring who's in charge. The NS records are the key holders who provide that crucial redundancy. And finally, the PTR record is your special tool for going in reverse. That's really the core of it all. Which kind of leaves us with one last, much bigger question. We've seen exactly how zones can bring order and sanity to a company's sprawling network. But if you zoom all the way out, who's using this exact same principle to create order for the entire internet? Something to think about.